Okay, so we really need to talk. Today, I want to talk to you about the jobs report, the housing market, and how they affect the financial markets and what's going on right now. And I'm going to give you the whole story. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible so you can get a handle on what's going on. And then I'm going to give you some ideas about what you should be doing right now so that you're not a victim in all of this. So let's get started.
Romance for lovers only.
This is the Hey Ed YouTube channel. I am your host, moderator, and all-around nice guy, Edward Anderson. I'm not a financial advisor, so do not construe anything that I mention in any of my videos as financial advice, okay? Always do your own research before doing anything with your money. All right, so let's start off by talking about what's going on with the jobs report. Now, it should be no surprise that the government is lying to you. All these numbers that the current administration is putting out, they're all one big sleight of hand. But I want to tell you what is actually going on so that you're well aware of what the real story is. But before I do that, let's take a quick look at what the stock market did yesterday, because all this is going to tie in. Okay, so let's take a quick look at that. Okay, so this is the 1 month chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And you'll see that on Friday, it was down over 400 points. A nasty day. But let's take a look at what happened in the past 3 months. We did have that really nasty sell-off about a month ago, and I did a video about that. And all of this right here was a sugar high based on an anticipated rate cut by the Federal Reserve. And I told you my thoughts on that. But later on in this video, I'm going to show you a comparison chart that is going to freak you out. But I want you to burn this image in your mind because we're going to talk about this later in the video. Okay, so let's talk about this wonderful jobs market that our current administration is touting. First of all these jobs that they say they've created over the past 3 years, almost all of them were bounce back jobs. Remember those 2 years of mandatory lockdown that the world went through because of that, that bogus worldwide flu that we had? So as people went back to work, they counted that as job creation. So most of those numbers are just people going back to work. And then the remaining numbers were mostly jobs that were created by government. Those are government jobs. Those weren't actual private industry jobs. The truth of the matter is that a lot of small businesses went out of business because of mandatory lockdowns, and they did not survive. And I think that most of you out there who are watching this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And this did not just happen in the US. This is kind of a global phenomenon. All the things that I'm talking to you about, in one way or another, they mirror every country around the world. But there's an extra wrinkle in this jobs report. Okay, so the article that I'm going to show you right now is information coming from the government's own Department of Labor. So these are government numbers. This isn't some Fox News report. Jobs report is a boom for migrants and a slump for Americans. Data released by the Department of Labor shows native-born Americans lost more than 1.3 million jobs over the past 12 months. The new August jobs report shows employment numbers of U.S.-born workers and foreign-born workers going on two very different trajectories. Data released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, an arm of the Department of Labor, shows native-born Americans lost more than 1.3 million jobs over the last 12 months, while foreign-born workers gained more than 1.2 million jobs. And the news comes as U.S. job growth picked up in August, but missed economists' expectations. Okay, so smoke of mirrors, sleight of hand, lying. So when our current Republican presidential candidate tells you that these illegal immigrants are stealing American jobs, there you go. There's the proof. It's in the numbers. So while native-born Americans have lost 1.3 million over the past 12 months, over that same time frame, foreign-born workers gained 1.2 million. So almost an entire replacement. And I'm going to round out the numbers here for convenience. As of August of this year, there are 130 million native-born workers compared to 131 million in August of 2023, meaning a plummeting reduction of 1.3 million jobs. So again, native-born Americans in the past year have lost 1.3 million jobs. In comparison, there were 31,600,000 foreign-born workers in the U.S. as of last month, compared to 30.4 million in August of 2023, a surge of 1.2 million jobs. The figures do not differentiate between foreign-born workers who entered the country with authorization, i.e. green card holders, and those who entered without prior authorization. Okay, so those numbers don't distinguish between legal foreign workers and illegal foreign workers. But come on, who are we kidding? And Zero Hedge, kind of said the same thing. They summarized it. How is this not the biggest political talking point right now? Since October of 2019, native-born U.S. workers have lost 1.4 million jobs. Over the same period, foreign-born workers have gained 3 million jobs. Yeah, that's a good point. Why isn't this a really big talking point? Why do Republicans let Democrats get away with this stuff? Point this out. These are official numbers. The U.S. has witnessed a surge of immigrants under the Biden-Harris administration, with figures from the Congressional Budget Office showing a net gain of more than 9 million immigrants since the end of 2020. So that's the past 4 years, right? About 2.6 million of those immigrants are lawful permanent residents, which include green card holders. The remaining 6.5 million foreign nationals, referred to as other foreign nationals, are made up of those who crossed the southern border without prior permission. So, according to the government's own numbers, 6.5 million of the 9 million immigrants that came into the U.S. under the Biden administration are illegal. So if you're out there, wondering why the government is so rosy about the jobs numbers and the jobs reports and the unemployment rate, that's because they're lying to you. And that's not even mentioning the fact that most of the jobs that Americans have been getting have been part-time jobs versus full-time jobs. And they don't talk about that. And of course, with part-time jobs, you don't get the benefits that you get with full-time jobs. So Americans, day to day, they know this, they feel it, they see it. And hopefully, you people out there, not just in America, but across the world, I hope that you're really tired of this gaslighting that's being done by our own governments. So bear with me while I show you another quick report. These middle-class jobs are shrinking and could one day disappear. Dozens of occupations that collectively employ hundreds of thousands of Americans in decent-paying jobs are likely to shrink over the next decade, according to recent government data. These jobs face a range of challenges, from the impact of artificial intelligence to changing consumer habits that will result in fewer workers needed to fill jobs. So again, the government is telling you there that a lot of high-paying blue-collar jobs right now will be lost to things like artificial intelligence. There are a lot of jobs that are going to be lost because of AI and other issues. And let's take a look at a chart that kind of illustrates the difference between part-time jobs and full-time jobs, which the government doesn't distinguish between when they put out their jobs reports. This means that since last June, in the past year, the U.S. has added just over 2 million part-time jobs and lost 1.5 million full-time jobs. So that's a net increase of 500,000 part-time jobs over full-time jobs. And here you can see, the top are full-time jobs, and the bottom are part-time jobs. So most new jobs that are being taken on these days are part-time jobs, which don't have other things like benefits to support you. Right? So a lot of people out there working, multiple part-time jobs with no benefits like health insurance, which, by the way, the government loves because they like to have you dependent on them. Okay, so let's talk about the financial markets. Again, I want to keep this video as short as possible. So let's just focus on the equities market, because that will be representative of what we're in for. So what I'm about to show you just might freak you out a little bit, but it's important that you see this. Now, as a lot of you might know, I have more than 30 years of experience, on Wall Street as a stockbroker, a trader, and a trading instructor. So I used to teach people, how to trade. And I'm a big technical analysis guy, because in the end, there's only one thing that moves the price of anything, whether it's a stock, a bond, a commodity, a crypto, real estate. And that's buying pressure. If there are more buyers than sellers, it goes up. More sellers than buyers, it goes down, period. And all markets are made up of human beings. And human beings are emotional creatures. That's why the markets will never be a rational place. Now, when you look at charts, what you're really looking at is a pictogram of human emotion. In the charts, you can see represented, the three emotions that drives every market. That is fear, complacency, and greed. Those are the three emotions that drive every market. And as it turns out, in the charts to price action on the charts, we can identify where the greed is, where the complacency is, and where the fear is. And since human emotion never changes, these patterns have a way of repeating themselves. That's why a lot of traders rely on charts in order to make their buy-sell decision in every time frame, whether you're a day trader or you're a swing trader or you're a hedge fund manager. Trust me, these guys are looking at the same charts that I'm looking at, and they're looking for the same things that I'm looking at. That's why, to some degree, this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they see the charts, they know the history of these patterns, and they make decisions accordingly. And if that's not bad enough, okay, these smart guys now, these computers have algorithms right now where these patterns have been written into the codes, so the computer recognizes these patterns. So things play out a lot faster these days because the computers can make decisions and sell things and buy things a lot faster than humans can. And then we have the advent of artificial intelligence, in the mix. So things can get really, really wild. So I'm going to show you a comparison chart here that, again, just might freak you out. So let's take a look. So this is the chart of the S&P 500 currently versus in 2007. I'm going to pause here for dramatic effect. Do these patterns not look exactly the same? So on the left there, this is the current action in the stock market. And you'll notice that in the past month, we've had this dramatic move up where we made a slightly new high for a little bit, and now it's rolling over. Now, this is a massive move that we've had here in the past month. So again, to emphasize here, look at these numbers here, okay? On the left here, see that first sell-off? 6% sell-off. And over to the right here, that sell-off was also 6%. So over on the left here, that first drop was 6%. On the right, that first drop, 6%. The next big drop on the left was 10%, and then this big drop was 11%. So pretty much exactly the same percentage sell-offs. Then we just had this massive move up here on the left there, which is the same that happened in 2007. Well, what happened here at the top here in 2007? This is what happened. We had a 66% drop. Now, of course, I can't guarantee that we're going to have another 60% drop in the stock market, but I'm telling you that the patterns are not only eerily the same, they're exactly the same as a prelude before the 2007 crash. So food for thought, okay? So let's talk about the housing market for a quick minute. Okay, so this chart is from the Mortgage Broker Association. Mortgage applications have declined 44% from pre-pandemic levels. And mortgage applications are going down at the same time that interest rates are coming down. What the hell? Now, as of this recording, the average 30-year mortgage rate is going for 6.4%, and it's been coming down. But at the same time that mortgage rates have been coming down, so have the applications to buy houses. So between 2018 and 2020, we saw a steady increase in mortgage applications. But since 2020, it has been steadily coming down, and now we're at the lowest level since 1995, really. The mortgage application index currently stands at 132. Okay, so the housing market is a very interesting and a little bit complicated situation, right? Because almost no one in the younger generation can even come up with a down payment on a house. Not to mention they don't have any solid credit ratings. And people who own houses, they kind of want to hold on to their house because if they sell their house, they have to replace it with another house, right? A lot of people, refinance their houses or bought their first houses with very low mortgage rates, like 2 or 3%. Well, now, if they sell that existing house at that really low mortgage rate and they go out to buy that new house, their new mortgage is going to be around 6.5% or more. So a lot of people are staying put. Even though they would like to move, they can't afford to move. And even though they might have a lot of equity in their house, the house they go and buy, the value of that house has gone up over the same period. So it's not like they're gaining any real equity. So there is a buyer's strike going on right now. A lot of people, whether they're able to or whether they want to, they're sitting tight. And I think that something really dramatic and really kind of catastrophic is going to have to happen in the housing markets, in the economy, something like what we saw in 2008 to 2010. For those of you who are old enough, you know what I'm talking about. But I think we're going to need that kind of dramatic sell-off in the marketplace that's going to wipe a lot of people out before people come into the market in any real serious way. So listen, there is a lot to worry about right now in the markets. So the mantra on my channel has never been more relevant. Reduce your exposure to your bank, acquire some gold and silver, and establish streams of passive recurring income. And in the Hey Ed WhatsApp community, that is our specialty. So if you'd like to join the Hey Ed WhatsApp group, shoot me an email and I'll send you a link to join the Hey Ed WhatsApp group. And we will show you some programs you can use to develop some streams of passive recurring income. But a lot of people are hurting out there right now, and I think it's going to be a long time before it gets better in any significant way. You should be looking for ways to, number one, preserve your capital and your wealth, hello, gold and silver, and increase your income. Whether you just want to have an easier time, meeting your monthly expenses, or you want to get really far ahead in life, you want to develop streams of passive recurring income. There's no downside in developing streams of passive recurring income. I would love to hear your comments, on this video. I hope I didn't confuse you guys too much. I try to keep things as simple as I can. Please support my channel by hitting that like button. Ed Anderson, live from Minnesota, signing out.
Copy that.